If you live in this part of the world where I come from, Nigeria, you agree with me that the economy situation presently in Nigeria has been an unpleasant one. Today, many homes do not get to experience quality and tasty meals. Many homes have deliberately, intentionally shifted from laying their hands on quality foods to laying their hands on quantity foods. Many homes today goes after the rice with the sand, the gari with the shaft. I know the funnest thing about this present economy situation here in Nigeria is both the quantity and the quality are expensive. We still buy them in thousands. And I realized that cooking this food in larger quantity and not making use of the right amount of ingredient to spice it up will give less taste. So I'm going to be sharing three of the tips that has helped me maintain the quality and tasty meal I always want to experience at the end of every meal. And I know you don't want to miss out of the last tip because the last tip is going to shock you. So stay true to the end of this video. Let's move to the first tip. The first one is I try to cook my food in smaller batches. Now, cooking my food in smaller batches helps me to make use of the available ingredient to spice it up. At the end of the cooking, the result I get is always encouraging. Number two tip, I always concentrate on the key ingredients. Now you must know that the secret to every tasty meal lies in the ingredients, the key ingredients peculiar to whatever you want to cook. So I want to concentrate on the onions, the crayfish, the pepper, the turmeric, the garlic, the ginger, the locust beans. For food that requires me to add locust beans to it. Now I concentrate more on the key ingredients peculiar to whatever I want to cook. Now let me even say that sometimes the type of pepper you use to spice up your food can also add great values to that food. I'll give you a very good example of what I mean. Let's say for instance I want to prepare afan soup. Of course, grounded pepper is very good, to use to spice my afan soup. But the results I'll get when I use fresh pepper to spice my afan soup cannot be compared to when using grinded pepper to spice my afan soup. And let me say this, the best fresh pepper for your afan soup is the yellow type of pepper. Yes, the yellow type of pepper. It will take your afan soup to another level. The flavor and the taste is going to add to that afan soup will be in the next level. Now, the last tip. Now, this last tip sounds very funny. It sounds like, how true is this? But believe me, it's true. It works. I've seen it works for my mother. I've seen it work for two of my elder sisters. I've seen this last tip work perfectly well. And in fact, when I was getting married, I was reminded of the importance of this last tip in every aspect of my marriage. And believe me, when I eventually got married, I decided to make use of this last tip in every aspect of my marriage, in every aspect of my home. And believe me, my kitchen is not excluded. And that's the secret of prayer. For every preparation of every meal that goes through my kitchen, that passes through my kitchen, prayer goes on it. Believe me, one way or the other, it works. By the time I combine the first, the second, and the third tips, believe me, the result I get from every meal is always very encouraging. Now let's go back to the first tip. You might want to say, cooking food in smaller batches can be a bit stressful. Well, if you're like me that always want to experience, that joy and happiness from the face of every members of my family at the end of every meal, then believe me, cooking your food in smaller batches and using the right amount of ingredient to spice it up is just the way out. My strength lies at the end of every meal when I get the feedback, a sincere appreciation for my family members. That's where my strength lies, and it gives me the joy to want to do more and more and more and more. Now, before I end this video, let me say this. If you have the right amount of ingredient to spice up that large quantity of food in which you are about to cook, then please, you are good to go. You are good to go. I hope this makes sense to one or two people out there. Thank you.